How's it going, everyone? This is Trixx from MoS Smash, and welcome back to another episode of Game 6. In this series, we talk about mental strategies that you can use outside of the game to prepare yourself better in-game. I find that a lot of players lack a very strong mental approach to this game, and they often find themselves just kind of doing stuff rather than knowing why they're trying to perform a certain action or trying to get someone to do something that puts them in a bad position that they can capitalize on. Some of that might be a lack of labbing, but a lot of the times it's just you haven't put a ton of thought into it. So this series is dedicated to coming up with those strategies so that, like I said, you can go into a game with a plan. Just before we get started with the video, I want to say a huge shout out and thanks to everybody that's been supporting the Medal of Smash project I've been working on. For any of you guys who don't really know much about it, I've been trying to put together, I guess, like a little EP or a small album of music just for fun. It's going to be in the style of metal, obviously Medal of Smash, and I'm going to be putting it out for you guys to use for montages, just to vibe out to whatever. And for anyone that doesn't really know, I wanted to add a little clip to the start of this video so you guys can kind of see the style of music and the fact that this is in fact happening. So yeah, check this out. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys quickly that this is the project as of right now. It's a work in progress. And yeah, the support is incredibly appreciated, guys. I can't thank you guys enough for getting coaching. And that's the thing too, right now, all the money that's going towards coaching and stuff like that is going towards this project right now. So I really do appreciate the support. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So today's question comes from DAM or DAM, and he's asking, what is the mindset that I should have while going for edge guarding or ledge trapping off stage? And I'm assuming when he means ledge trapping off stage, as in him standing on stage and his opponent is trying to recover before they grab the ledge. So this is actually a pretty simple question to answer. There's not too many things you really have to worry about as far as how to approach this, but if you don't know them, it can kind of feel like sometimes you just jump off stage and hopefully you get a spike, or sometimes you just get reverse edge guarded and you don't really know why. But if you break down the options that your opponent has, it can make your success off stage a lot easier. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, and one of the most important things to do, is know what your opponent has as far as resources to recover. And this is going to be more so in the aspect of their specials. So for example, if your opponent is playing a character like ZSS who has a flip kick, or like Sheik's Bouncing Fish, or Fox and Falco's Phantasm, or Illusion, whatever it's called, side B, we're going to call it side B. You want to try your absolute best to try and pull those options out of your opponent so that you know if they've used one of their specials, of course they can't use it again until they've been hit. And in some cases they can't use it again until they've touched the ground. Their other resources besides their specials is going to be the number of jumps that they have. So of course some characters only have one jump, some of them have 2 or 3 jumps, and of course some have even 5 or 6 jumps if you count their up B as one of their jumps. Characters like Pit, Kirby, Meta Knight, Charizard, DDD, stuff like that. The other resource that characters are going to have is the ability to stall in the air. So that could be someone like Piranha Plant using their Patui or down special, I don't know what it's called. It could be Fox's Shine, or it could also be Mario's Cape, just ways to throw off your timing. And finally, the last resource you should really be worrying about is if they've used their air dodge already. And for some characters, they have to use it early. So when I think of a character that needs to use their air dodge early, more often than not, it's going to be someone like Chrom or maybe Cloud. And another bonus I just thought of is some characters that can use their up special and they don't get put into free fall, or they even have the ability to use their jump after their up special, a character like Mega Man, for example. And of course the list goes on and on. There are tons of different variables as far as different specials, the amount of jumps, and if someone's used their air dodge, if they can stall, all these things. But what's important is when you have somebody off stage, you 100% need to track and try your best to eliminate as many resources as possible before you go off stage. And I'm saying this from the perspective of a character that has one jump. If you're a character that has multiple jumps and you can kind of stall out in front of them and make them panic, or really take their time trying to recover, and you can force out a lot of things just by being off stage with them. But if you're playing a character like Falco or like Lucina or someone who, or even Mario, you only have really one shot to jump off stage, do something, and then you have to recover. You want to try and do as much damage or pressure as you possibly can from the ledge before you go out there and say, okay, they have no options left. If I go for this spike, there's no way that they can get around this. The only way they're going to get around it is if I make a mistake. And so let's talk about how to eliminate those resources. There are multiple different ways to do it. Number one thing is, if you have a character that has a projectile, you want to absolutely use these projectiles and shoot them relatively high so that your opponent is forced low. because more often than not, you don't want to try and challenge someone who's recovering high, especially if they haven't used their jump yet, because if you try and go high, they can fast fall, they can jump over you, they can air dodge through you, and not worry about gimping themselves because they're so high up still that if they do happen to use their air dodge, they have a lot of time to still use their double jump and recover. So the first things first is you want to force them to have to recover low, so if they do happen to air dodge, they're definitely going to kill themselves. So right away, if you force them to recover low, you now don't have to worry about an air dodge. Better yet, if you happen to throw out a projectile and they air dodge through it, they're also forcing themselves to recover low and they use their air dodge. So they have no way of air dodging again, for example, if you want to go out there and go for a spike or a fair or anything like that. Another thing you can do as well, especially if you play as a character that doesn't have a projectile, is you can jump off stage with your first jump and then double jump back on stage to try and get them to panic. They might air dodge thinking you're coming out to hit them, or they might use their double jump early to try and mix up your timing. But if you force out their jump and then you go back on stage, of course you get your jump back, and now they're in a really bad position. Once again, this is going to be like a mix-up though. You don't want to do this every single time, but in a lot of cases, you can even get characters, and I'll say Cloud again, if you were to jump off stage and then double jump back on stage, a lot of Cloud players will air dodge early and land on stage because they do get hit very easily out of their recovery if you just happen to go out there against them, especially when they try and recover high. So if you're fighting someone who is often recovering high and air dodging past your attempts to edge guard them, and there's air dodging right onto the stage, you might want to try this out. Just jump towards them, then jump straight back, and they'll land right in front of you. And another one that I do quite a bit, especially as a Falco player, is I will jump off and go incredibly low, but not do anything. Because a lot of players, when you pressure them to go as low as possible, they will save their jump till the absolute last minute, and very often they might even gimp themselves. Now, I wouldn't absolutely count on this happening, but it is possible that if someone is scared of you hitting them at an absolute lowest point, eventually they have to use their jump and try to recover, and sometimes if they wait too long, they can gimp themselves. So this is a possible trick that you can actually pull off. Another thing as well too, and this is a great way to get footstools, is if you force someone as low as possible, and they have to recover, you can footstool somebody out of their jump. As long as they're not doing an attack, you can footstool them. And so if they are that low, you can go for a footstool and not worry about them hitting you or up B'ing immediately. The reason being, of course, is if they happen to up B immediately from the bottom of the blast zone, they're probably going to kill themselves unless they're like Villager, maybe Snake, or like Pit. Someone who, or maybe like Arsene, something like that. If they have like a crazy high recovery, most other characters are going to have to use their double jump. And so now that we've talked a little bit about how to force out somebody's resources as far as getting them to air dodge, getting them to waste their jump, or even just using projectiles in general to pressure them off stage, now if you yourself want to go off stage, you have to know, based on what they have left, what are my options that are going to cover their only options. So for example, if you force out somebody's jump and you know they have to recover low, this is a very good chance for you to go for a spike. And on the flip side of things, if you don't force out somebody's jump and they still are just recovering and floating back to the stage, if you just jump off or run off and fair or go for a dare if you're playing Falco, honestly, I see this all the time when I'm coaching. People will just YOLO jump off stage and dare, and I still have my jump and my side B, and there's literally zero chance of me getting spiked by this. And honestly, it's just because they didn't force out my resources. They didn't shoot a laser. They didn't pressure me off stage at all. They stood at the ledge, waited until they thought the time was right, and they just jumped off and went for a spike. I jump out of the way, I grab the ledge, I do a drop zone fair, and I just killed them at like 0. I'm sure if you've been coached by me, this has happened to you if you play Falco. And so you need to know your options if you want to go for certain things. Or more so, I wouldn't say if you want to go for certain things, but more so what your opponent is telling you that you are able to go for. Another example too is if you're playing a character who likes to scrape the edge of the stage and kind of recover under the stage and then go up to the ledge rather than going from in space just straight to the ledge. So in that situation, what do you do? In a lot of cases, if you run off and go for a spike, you're going to miss. Because if you're going like this over the ledge and they're coming up the side, let's say on the Battlefield or FD, you're going to pass each other on the way by, and they're going to get by no problem. So in that situation too, you have to know if they are off stage, if they keep on getting past you like this, what can you do to stop them? Or at least pressure them or potentially get a kill? And the fairly obvious answer is to go for a stage spike. And if anyone doesn't know what a stage spike is, it's essentially hitting your opponent into the stage so they have to tech. And in some situations, just the way the Smash Ultimate is, you get untechable situations where they can't do anything and they just die. So in a lot of cases, you can go for run-off back airs. Some characters, I'll say a character like Cloud, you can use like Limit Cross Slash, you turn around and do it against the stage, or even like Limit Blade Beam, you do it towards the stage, and they have to try and tech an outrageously hard move to tech because it has multiple hits, and it's very strong, and it lasts for a long time. So it's a good chance you're either going to miss a tech or it's going to be untechable. If they happen to tech it, then it is what it is, but it's much better than trying to go off with a spike and completely missing, and now they're back on stage and potentially ledge trapping or edge guarding you. And then on the flip side of things, there are some characters that you should not try to edgeguard, or if you don't have the tools to edgeguard them properly or safely, you shouldn't be going out there at all. In a lot of cases, there are characters that can, like Pikachu or Palutena, they can just fly right by you, and if you try and jump off stage, it's like a 1 in 10 million chance you're going to spike them. It's not impossible, but like, if you go off 10 times and you get them once, there's a good chance you're going to lose that game, because every single time you're off stage, especially against Palutena as well, if you're off stage and you just miss, they teleport back. Up smash is, I think it's active for 16 frames on the ledge, and they can 2-frame the shit out of you with that. Down tilt also 2 frames, and it confirms into back air. So you don't really want to go off stage against every single character. Even if you have a character like Falco or Lucina, who's actually very good at edge guarding some characters, you just don't want to mess with it. Another character a lot of people have a lot of problems with edge guarding is Zelda, because she has so many tools to help herself make it back. As far as the Phantom, her up B has a huge hitbox as well. If you jump out and you try and hit her and she releases the Phantom as you go out there, you're potentially going to get clapped because you're trying to react to getting close to her. And if you just throw out your hitbox to try and counter the Phantom, there's a very good chance you're going to be an end lag, and you can't swing again or do whatever you're trying to do a second time to hit Zelda, and she's going to get right past you. So you're better off just trying to ledge trap a character like that. And that's one of those things too when it comes to labbing, knowing this type of stuff, so you're not just jumping off stage and trying to edgeguard characters that against your character, it's incredibly difficult. And that's why in a lot of cases you should be learning how to ledge trap along with edge guarding. And then there's also, on the flip side of things, there are characters that have pretty bad recoveries that are a nightmare in footsies or in neutral. A character I'd say like Luigi, if you have the opportunity to edgeguard Luigi and you just don't, you're probably going to lose, because they are a monster on stage, but off stage, it's horrible. It's pathetic. They have one of the worst recoveries of all time, provided that they don't get a misfire. You can gimp them quite easily, but if you're scared to go out there, or you don't know how to force out their jumps, or you don't know when they have to use their misfires to try and make it back, or their side B, whatever it's called, when it's not a misfire, green missile, something like that. If you don't know how to force that kind of stuff out, you're gonna find yourself ledge trapping them or fighting them in neutral way more than you should actually have to. And for anyone that doesn't know, I actually put out a series of videos almost a year ago at this point, talking about or showcasing how to edgeguard every single character as Falco. I will link them in the description below. And the thing is, even if you don't play Falco, these still apply immensely to every character, as far as forcing somebody low, knowing if you should be going for a stage spike, or going for a spike outright, or going for a back air, or going for a drop zone fair, right? Or going for a footstool, trying to gimp somebody with a laser, like all these different things. It's like, okay, I even say the difficulty of how hard it is to do them. It's not so much about how hard it is to press the buttons and make it work. It's more so the difficulty of getting somebody in a position where this is the only option that they have, and this will work in the situation. So some cases, it'll be ranked as like something that's like very hard, but if you look at it, it's like all I did was run off and spike. It's like, well, you're spiking Pichu, for example. Spiking Pichu is almost impossible because he or she is so fast and so small, the likelihood of having that happen is insanely low. So there are easier and better things to go for instead, like trying to go for a stage spike, or using your, in Falco's case, an up B at the ledge to try and catch them so they have to tech against the stage. There are other characters that have stuff like that. You could be like Roy's up B, you could be using Limit Cross Slash, all kinds of stuff, but you get the idea as far as saying, okay, what does my character have that can put someone in a position like this to potentially edgeguard them? Or in some cases, if you don't have the tools, how do you know you don't have the tools? That's another thing that's super important too. If you are playing a character that doesn't edgeguard or shouldn't be jumping off stage like crazy, what are the tools that you can use on stage so you can still win without that aspect of the game being super important for you? Or in some cases, even a character like Fox doesn't really go off stage unless they're going for like just like something simple. It could be like a nair or maybe like a short hop back air, but even with back air, there's so much lag that you might end up killing yourself if you do it too, like with a fast fall, because like you're in lag for like 10 years with that move off stage. So that character doesn't really go off stage too much, but knowing those types of things can allow you to use your character safely when edge guarding as well. And lastly, I just want to give you guys like an example. If you were to get somebody off stage and then go down the checklist of things to try and get someone in a position of where you can, let's say, go for a spike, because everybody wants to pop off and get spikes and all that crazy stuff, right? So I'm going to start with saying, we'll talk about like Falco versus Fox. Why not? You know, let's do the classic. Anyway, so if I'm playing as Falco and I want to spike Fox, what do I have to do? Alright, so the first thing I'm going to have to do is get him off stage, obviously. So let's say I hit him with a fair, or I hit him with a nair, or I hit him with a back air, or an F smash that doesn't kill, something like that. So he has the ability to recover, he's not going to die outright. So once I hit him with whatever I hit him with, I'm going to dash towards the ledge, do a full hop, full hop or short hop, depending on how high he goes, and I'm going to shoot at least one laser. The point of this laser is not to hit him at all. The point of it is to say, if you jump, you're going to lose your jump, so you can't jump. So that's the first thing I'm going to be doing to try and force him to go low. Once he does go low, he's going to be using his jump and his up B. If he uses his jump and then side B, I'm going to be standing at the ledge and I'm going to shoot him again. That's what you want to do as well. So I'm taking away his first option, which is to recover high by shooting a laser. Then I'm going to be taking his ability to jump and use illusion, which is his second option. So if he does that, he's now used his jump, so his jump is gone. He used illusion. If he uses illusion again, he's not going to make it to the ledge. So now he has to try and drift to the ledge and then up B. So once he's in his up B animation, I have to say to myself, okay, based on where he is in space, what are my options that I can use to actually seal this stock? If he does it at like a 45-degree angle or kind of out a bit further to go up to the ledge at a kind of shallow angle, there's a good chance I won't actually be able to run off and get a spike, but instead I'll have to run off and go for a fair. Or I'd have to go for a short hop first so I can get some more distance and then get a spike. If he comes straight up, or almost straight up, a much steeper angle, I can go for a runoff spike in that case. Or if he goes for a B reverse up B and he scrapes along the edge of the stage because he's gone way underneath the stage and he's trying to go up to the ledge, I can go for a runoff back air, or I can hold onto the ledge or do like a reverse short hop. I can go for a stage spike or a fair one spike to try and take that stock. And so for me, if I, like I said, am going down the checklist of variables and I'm taking them away, going back over it for a third time, I think at this point, taking away his jump, taking away his ability to go high, taking away his phantasm, and now I'm looking at the position and where he's coming up with his up B because he has no other options at this point. Now I have to know from where he is, there are potentially 3 different options I could be going for. Is it going to be a fair? Is it going to be a dare? Or is it going to be a stage spike? And if you break it down like that, it really makes it quite easy. And of course, not every character is equipped with the same things that Fox is, but other characters it's actually even easier, or some cases it might be harder. A character like Palutena or Zelda, or sometimes Mewtwo. Mewtwo's not super bad. If you really, really want to like spike Mewtwo, you have to go super deep immediately. But at the end of the day, it's also going to be coming down to your experience in general with your character. But like I said too, the whole point of this question was at least know what you're looking for. If you're just running off stage and going for a spike, and they still have their jump, or they still have their side B, or a flip kick of some sort, like, or a bouncing fish or whatever, and they haven't used anything, you should just know. You should just know that you're not going to get this spike. And if you do happen to get the spike, you should probably be questioning the other player to be like, bro, that shouldn't have happened. And that's one of those things too. You got to kind of call yourself out in some cases, saying, okay, that shouldn't have worked. Because if you say, oh, everything works because I said so, or it was never luck, it's all skill, and it's even kind of a meme to say things are calculated or whatever. If you kind of go down that path, then you fight someone who's even moderately good, and the things that are all skill stop working, and then you're screwed. Because you have to, like I said, recognize what things shouldn't have worked and call things out if it's just a bad play or whatever. And that's how you're really going to get your experience, especially going off stage. Another thing too I wanted to say just quickly about for myself with experience with regards to edge guarding. I was looking at my stats on my Switch to see how many kills and stuff I have with Falco. I have over 19,000 spike kills with Falco. And I don't say that to impress anybody. I say that more so to the fact that I have 19,000 spikes. How many times have I gone off stage and died and not gotten the spike? I guarantee, and it doesn't have a stat for that, but I guarantee that if I have 19,000 spikes, I probably have 30,000 or even 35,000 failed attempts. And that's huge. The thing that's important is you want to try and fail your way to the top when you're learning how to edge guard, right? Jump off stage, get wild, and see what works, see what doesn't work. I see a lot of players that just don't go off stage because they're scared. And if you're in friendlies as well, for example, you should 100% be getting wild. Always be getting wild. Always be trying to try new things, try out new combos, try out new edge guarding techniques as much as you possibly can. Of course you want to win, and if it's like an 8-man rotation, then that sucks, because you gotta wait like 40 minutes because you don't get to play if you lose. But in a situation where it's one-on-one, or you have like a rotation of 3 people, get wild, 100%. That's how I learned how to get so good with Falco as far as going off stage, and also teaching people how to go off stage and making videos on how to go off stage, and even to this point, now being able to verbalize it and like tell you guys without even showing you. And hopefully you guys are understanding what I'm saying, because I just know the checklist so well, and I've done it so many times right and wrong, that it's just internalized forever, essentially. But you guys can get to that point too. Maybe you don't have to do 50,000 spikes to get to the point that I'm at now, because I'm trying to help you guys fast track so you don't have to make those mistakes. And the thing is too, and a lot of people don't really recognize this, is whenever a guide comes out on this channel and you guys learn something from the guide, before that guide it didn't exist. I taught myself, right? So I don't get to watch guides to show you guys my guides. Everything I do is straight labbing for hours and hours and hours. And like I said, the whole point of that too is to just get you guys fast tracked so you guys can become better players faster. But anyways, guys, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully I answered the question well for you guys. It's pretty long. I actually answered this question a lot longer and more in depth than I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to be able to do this one pretty quick, but it is what it is. But yeah, I really hope I did answer the question for you guys. If you have more, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below, and I will make more videos just like this. And once again, this is Trixx from Smash saying thanks for watching the video, and please be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this.